It's pretty special discovering you are sharing your garden with one of these fluffy creatures. Every day I come outside to check on our visiting koala and find her eating, sleeping, or just watching me from on high. The iconic Australian teddy bear is found in habitats across the east coast and in a few areas in the south, but these are all shrinking. Last December, scientists submitted a report to the Copenhagen Climate Summit with predictions that koalas may become extinct within 30 years. It sounds like a pretty desperate situation, so I set out towards the Great Dividing Range of northern New South Wales to find out a little bit more about this arboreal marsupial and its threats, and to discover whether humans can live in harmony with the koala. Perhaps the first thing I notice is how much forestry has been converted to farmland.
Steve, would we find koala bears here?
Yes, we would. One of their favourite food trees is tallowood, one of their favourite eucalypts, and that's growing here in great magnificence, I guess. But
it's a beautiful tree, beautiful.
It's one of my favourite forest trees, and it's also one of the favourite food trees for koalas. But in this particular landscape where we are at the moment, there would have been koalas here historically, but not anymore.
And why?
They've sort of become trapped in what I call a sea of urbanisation and agriculture and roads and dogs and cars, and so while this area is certainly large enough to support a small social group, there's just no opportunities to recruit additional members into the population, and so the populations just go out.
The individuals migrate elsewhere?
No, they just
die?
They just die.
Oh, that's such a shame.
Because they have very strong fidelity to their home range areas, and once they're in there, they basically stay there for the term of their natural lives. And so ideally they like to have a home range area that has enough food trees to sustain them throughout the year, to have sufficient quality of food trees so they can raise their joeys and do all the other social things that koala populations do.
During his research, Steve has discovered something rather strange about koalas' nocturnal habits.
Everywhere we have worked in eastern Australia, at about 10 to 11 o'clock every night, all the koalas come down to the ground and they change trees. And that if they don't do it then, or those that don't do it then, do it at dawn. And so during the night there are two peak movements of koalas as they come to ground and they change their trees. Now if you're managing koalas and you know that now, you can say, right, between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock every night I'm going to have all the lights on in the street and I'm going to make it very visible so the koalas don't get seen. The same thing at dawn.
Climate change is having an impact on koalas' nutrition. As water becomes scarcer through reduced precipitation and faster evaporation, eucalypts click in a protective metabolic mechanism. They increase the levels of alkaloids and other toxins in their leaves in order to make them less tasty and in that way conserve their precious water.
The reality is that the amount of toxins that are in the leaf are so great that even the koala's very impressive digestive system and detoxification system cannot handle it. One of the other unusual things about koalas is they don't have a mechanism for cooling their bodies down. If you're a kangaroo or a wallaby, you can lick your forearms, and some people may be aware of that. That then allows evaporative cooling to cool your blood down, which will then cool your body down. If you're a dog or a cat, you pant. Koalas can't do any of that. They don't sweat. They have no mechanism for reducing their body thermal burden. What we're seeing now already, even though it's the early days of climate change, is that we're already seeing range contractions happening in the west of their range where it's hottest, whereas historically they moved out along river systems in the western plains. Now that it's hot and we have increased temperatures, we have reduced water availability, we're seeing the populations dying out and their geographic range gradually getting forced to the east again. So they're copping it at a species level from all fronts, changing temperatures, unpredictable rainfalls, trees that are going to have to defend themselves and make themselves unpalatable, habitat loss, roads, dogs. Wow, it's just an onslaught,
Many of the koalas that get into trouble find their way to the nation's rescue centres, and I'm going to visit one in Lismore near Byron Bay. Marsupial patients in this centre have been hit by cars, attacked by dogs, or brought in with a koala form of HIV or chlamydia. A large proportion of koalas have chlamydia, but it's often only when the animal suffers stress, such as through injury or habitat loss, that they become sick. Untreated, chlamydia leads to infertility and can kill the creatures.
Because you've been working here for 10 years, you're saying that since you started, the numbers of injured koalas that come to your centre have actually increased threefold. So
at least.
How many were you getting originally?
Oh, when we started in about 2000, it would have been around about 100, maybe, more or less. But now, the animals that we've actually brought into care, if you subtract 345 from 648, is just over 300.
Right.
And the trend is up.
Right, okay.
It never ever drops.
The centre has 15 patients at the moment, but its longest serving resident is Constable, a one-eyed blind koala who has been nursed back to health. While the other patients get discharged back to their local trees once they are well enough, Constable would not survive in the wild and remains here. It's not just the patients who are happy here, though. The area is home to a thriving koala population.
We're really lucky in Lismore that we have urban koalas. People see them in their backyards, and even though it's not ideal, they are here, and it's amazing how they learn to cope.
So why is this area special for
Well,
koalas?
this particular area is good because we're on the edge of the university grounds, which are Southern Cross University, heavily timbered, a lot of koala food trees. We've got a good relationship with them, so we have propagated known koala food trees, and they have used them in their plantings. A couple of our foundation members working over the uni, so that adds to the link. But this area around here, we've got a park here, we've got sort of corridors of trees around drainage systems, plus the university all up there on the hill.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many acres or hectares are there, but it's very good koala habitat, and there are a lot of koalas through the university grounds. Now, we also have...
So a koala habitat is based on the female habitat.
One of the theories is, and I go along with it, is that the female home range, it could be a couple of acres, depending on how much acres. It all depends on food. So in that female's home range will be the dominant female, will probably be, the odd baby from the last year, and certainly females may stay around for a couple of years. Now that will abut another female's home range and another, and the dominant male may take about a year going around all of these, visiting his ladies, and at that time he's also seeing off the other young pretenders that are coming up. So
He's busy. He's very busy.
He's very busy.
This is koala scat, koala poo. And they always look like this. They're never runny or anything. So you can take a piece, break it open. It's green inside. It smells of eucalypt.
The past 100 years has seen enormous changes to the way land is managed and populated in Australia. The changes have come at a pace that are far faster than anything these slow-moving creatures can hope to adapt to. If we want koalas to be a part of our future landscape, we have to accommodate their simple needs in our human world. That means slowing down on the roads, keeping dogs on a lead, and ensuring a plentiful supply of their food in tree corridors that allow koalas to move easily and safely in their habitat. How much poorer would the world be without these lovely teddy bears?